मैं सोच रहा था इसके लिए कोट पहन लूं उसमें, क्या मीटिंग के लिए।
Good afternoon, Mr. Sharma.
It is Mr. Verma.
Yes, Mr. Mr. Varma, yes, good afternoon. It's Hashim here. Greetings.
Hi, Hashim. Hi, how are you?
I'm well, and you, sir? You're in Delhi,
Thank you
are
very
you?
much. I have come to Srinagar. So I'm sitting in a very smart city office. And
Sorry,
doing
which city, sir? Which city are you at now?
I'm in Srinagar in Kashmir.
Oh, Srinagar, you're up in Kashmir.
Yes.
I see.
Excuse us, gentlemen,
Okay.
we're starting. It's actually already started, so
Yeah.
we'll
All right,
allow the
sorry.
MP to take over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Sarah. Greetings, salam lestari, conservation greetings for everyone. Stay safe and healthy during this difficult period of pandemic. It is a big day today for
Recording
our
in
Tiger
progress.
lovers. Wherever you are, selamat bergabung untuk teman-teman semua di Indonesia, and for those who join us overseas, a warm welcome for you all. Please accompany me, Tito Suryawan, to congratulate ARSARI Djojohadikusumo Foundation and its PR-HSD to celebrate its 4-year anniversary and Global Tiger Day today. The Tiger International Talk Show will presenting the speakers, Mr. Wiratno, Director General of Natural Resources and Ecosystem Conservation from Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Mr. Kesha Pharma, CEO and Executive Director of Global Tiger Initiative Council, Mr. Hashim Djojohadikusumo, Chairman of Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo, and hosted by Rahayu Saraswati Djojohadikusumo. With opening remarks from Her Excellency Mrs. Siti Nurbaya Bakar, Indonesian Minister of Environment and Forestry, will be represented today by Mr. Wiratno. And to begin the whole program, ladies and gentlemen, please stand up. Let us sing and hear together the Indonesian National Anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, may be seated. And as a kind reminder, we facilitate this talk show with translation from English to Bahasa and the opposite. Just click on the interpretation icon at the bottom of your screen and choose Indonesian or English whenever you need to. Jadi untuk teman-teman yang ingin menyimak talk show ini dalam bahasa Indonesia, dipersilakan untuk mengklik icon interpretation yang ada di bagian ataupun sudut bawah layar Anda. Also, please fill the attendees form that we attach the link on the chat section. Behind this big event is strong cooperation between YAD and West Sumatra KSDAE. And may we introduce you to Ibu Ari or Dr. Catrini Pratihari Kubontubuh, YAD Executive Director, to update us with the 4th anniversary of PR-HSD ARSARI.
Tito. Suara saya terdengar? Okay. Good day, everyone, honorary speakers and guests that I could not announce one by one. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you who are concerned with wildlife conservation and Sumatran tiger in particular. Today marks our 4th anniversary of Tiger Rehabilitation Center in Dharmasraya, or PR-HSD ARSARI, managed by our foundation, Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo, in cooperation with Natural Resource Conservation Office, or BKSDA of West Sumatra. And we are proud to be able to host this event today here at this wonderful virtual place with all of you and whatever you are. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously help us make this event come together to become a success. In today's event, I would like to focus on our update of hard work in doing 3R, rescue, rehabilitation, and release of tigers. Since 2017, we have handled 12 Sumatran tigers in total, including 6 tiger released to the wild, and unfortunately lost 3 to pneumonia. And currently we are rehabilitating 3 Sumatran tigers named Ria, Putra, and Putri Singgulung. We understand tiger conservation attempts to prevent the tigers from going extinct while preserving their natural habitat. We are so grateful for the support of Ministry of Environment and Forestry and other partners mutual patient that allow us to achieve our mission in conserving Sumatran tigers. During the last 4 years, we learned a lot about the challenges of each steps of tiger rescue, rehabilitation, and release. We understand now why tigers lost their habitats and their prey become rare. Our Tiger Rehabilitation Center medical team also got hands-on experiences in curing tigers with wounded leg caused by traps from illegal poaching and some other tiger diseases which need special treatment by our young and dedicated medical team. Lastly, we also learned what a difficult process it was to find a good location to release the tigers and due to the limited number of forests and potential prey. Therefore, during the last release, we were supported by Indonesian Ministry of Defense to use their helicopter so that we can drop the tiger directly in the middle of the jungle, which has no human access. We hope this will help us grow to be more experienced in the future. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. So today will be fun and full of learning from both of our side and international ones. So a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. If you have similar passion and want to support our Tiger Rehabilitation Center, we can start our partnership for the future tiger conservation. Thank you very much for listening. Terima kasih.
Sorry, Tito, you're still muted.
I'm sorry, Tito, you are still unmute.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Ari. And now please allow me to invite Bapak Ardi Andono, Head of West Sumatra BKSDA, to deliver his greetings and update report to us.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ardi Andono. I head of BKSDA Sumatera Barat. I just will inform you about today. We just released a female tiger in Pasaman Barat. This is very good news for us because we just released in terms of all the people in here need the tiger release in here. So that's why this is a good news for us. I hope tiger in all the world will survive till the end of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bapak Ardiandono. And next, please enjoy a short video about the details of updates that described by both Ibu Ari and Pak Ardi.
Saya Dr. Hewan Kartika Marilis, Manajer Operasional PR-HSD ARSARI. Pusat Rehabilitasi Harimau Sumatera Darmasraya diresmikan pada 29 Juli 2017. Selama kurun waktu 4 tahun, PR-HSD ARSARI telah melakukan rehabilitasi terhadap 12 harimau Sumatera dan juga melakukan 6 kali kegiatan lepas liar dengan melepas liarkan sebanyak 8 individu harimau Sumatera. Harimau Sumatera yang pernah direhabilitasi di PR-HSD ARSARI yaitu Leoni, Sopi Rantang, Bonita, Ujang Ribut, Atan Bintang, Inung Rio, Palas, Korina, Ria, Putra dan Putri Singgulung, serta Ciuniang Nuranti. PR-HSD ARSARI telah melakukan kegiatan lepas liar sebanyak 6 kali. Pada tahun 2018, Sopi Rantang dilepas liarkan, lalu tahun 2019, Bujang Ribut, Atan Bintang dan Bonita, pada tahun 2020, Putra Putri Singgulung dan juga Korina, dan pada tahun 2021, Ciuniang Nuranti. Selain menjalankan program 3R, PR-HSD ARSARI juga melakukan kegiatan konservasi lainnya, seperti melakukan pemeriksaan kesehatan satwa binaan BKSDA setempat, dan juga melakukan penyadartahuan pada kegiatan seminar nasional dan juga peluncuran buku Hari Harimau pada ulang tahun ketiga PR-HSD ARSARI. Keseriusan PR-HSD ARSARI dalam kegiatan konservasi harimau Sumatera juga ditunjukkan dengan pembangunan berkelanjutan, yaitu dengan pembangunan kandang isolasi dan juga kandang karantina, serta perbaikan sistem biosecurity yang ada di site PR-HSD ARSARI. Dengan 4 tahun berdirinya PR-HSD ARSARI, kami berharap PR-HSD ARSARI tetap dapat berperan aktif dalam menjaga kelestarian harimau Sumatera. Kami PR-HSD ARSARI mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua pihak yang telah bekerja sama dalam kegiatan konservasi harimau Sumatera. Semoga harimau Sumatera tetap terjaga. Salam lestari.
Okay, PR-HSD, thank you so much and such a big achievement, and keep the good work to conserve Sumatran tigers. And now, and hopefully already join us, please allow me to invite Her Excellency Ibu Siti Nurabaya Bakar, Minister of Environment and Forestry, Indonesian Minister of Environment and Forestry, to give her opening remarks that today represented by Mr. Wiratno as the Director General of KSDAE.
Thank you very much for this very important event. On behalf of the Minister of Forestry, I would like to thank the Yayasan ARSARI and all the stakeholders, all the Kepala Balai, especially in Sumatra, which have tiger habitat. I believe this is very important to have collective action, collective awareness for all these stakeholders. As we realize that almost 60% of habitat of the Sumatran tiger is outside the protected area system, meaning that we have to work hand in hand with all stakeholders outside the national park and protected areas. And rehabilitation center is one of the important center for Sumatran tiger. Another important effort is that we have to work with the local community in order to have an what we call it integrated team, patrol team, smart patrol, and also community reporting. We call it as masyarakat melapor. On the digital era, I think we use WhatsApp group, and as long as there is a signal for smartphone, we can use that technology. We also have an Ministry of Forestry, our DG of Conservation. We have a call center across the region. The call center is responding the community report. If there is any wildlife human conflict, and it seems that it's work, but it is not enough. We also work with the law enforcers from Jakarta to the province and the district, that law enforcement have to be put into the ground level and to give a deterrent effect. And with the law enforcement, we declare that the government and all partners conserving the Sumatran tiger is a very serious effort. One is the habitat. We save the habitat, and we work everywhere wherever the problem of the tiger happen. We work with this, and also important to work with the private sector where there is an tiger habitat and existing a tiger there, and this is the call for the government and the partner ARSARI to work together hand in hand to save, to preserve the Sumatran tiger. Also, the issue of breeding outside the habitat is also very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wiratno. And before the Tiger International Talk Show that we all are waiting forward, please enjoy another video done by YAD team for your additional view about Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo and its partnership with all other institutions to conserve our environment and especially the wildlife. Please enjoy. Behold, a paradise on the equator, a blanket of green forest, crystal clear stream, all gift from the generous Mother Earth to all species under her care, providing both beauty as well as giving life. However, things are no longer as it used to be. Those luscious forests now bear holes, trees chopped and burned, those clear streams now muddy and dirty, no longer a beautiful home to aquatic lives. Forest inhabitants flee and hide, else they end up on the dining table or worse, hunted for sport or pleasure. But sad as it is, this is the reality that we must struggle against. humans blessed with reason and heart must be able to live in harmony with nature, sharing and caring for this universe. Some of us have already begun the efforts. In the depths of the West Sumatran forest, ARSARI Djojohadikusumo Foundation, or so-called YAD, has worked alongside PT Tidar Kerinci Agung TKA in conservation efforts of the area. PT TKA has provided a concession forest to support conservation activities. The culmination of these joint efforts in Sumatran tiger conservation is the establishment of ARSARI Darmasraya Sumatran Tiger Rehabilitation Center PR-HSD ARSARI.
Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo atau YAD merupakan pengelola dari PR-HSD atau Pusat Rehabilitasi Harimau Sumatera Darmasraya. PR-HSD berlokasi di Darmasraya di Sumatera Barat dan didirikan oleh YAD dengan latar belakang adalah kepedulian dari Hashim Djojohadikusumo selaku pendiri maupun ketua dari YAD yang sangat peduli dengan pelestarian lingkungan khususnya satwa liar dan harimau Sumatera. Pihak-pihak yang bekerja sama dengan PR-HSD ARSARI di dalam menjalankan misi konservasi harimau Sumatera tentunya yang pertama adalah Balai Konservasi Sumber Daya Alam Sumatera Barat dengan dukungan penuh dari Kementerian Lingkungan Hidup dan Kehutanan RI dan tentunya tidak kalah pentingnya adalah PT TKA atau PT Tidar Kerinci Agung di mana lokasi dari PR-HSD berada di area PT TKA ini.
Dedicated to actively pursue conservation for Sumatran tigers and other endemic animals of the island, PR-HSD ARSARI is a joint effort between YAD and West Sumatra Natural Resources Conservation Center BKSDA Sumatera Barat. Ever since the establishment of PR-HSD ARSARI on 29 July 2017 at Global Tiger Day, it has become a destination for medical care and rehabilitation of Sumatran tigers evacuated from conflict areas by West Sumatra BKSDA.
Pusat Rehabilitasi Harimau Sumatera Darmasraya yang dikelola oleh Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo itu sangat penting bagi kita. Keberadaannya dapat mengisi filling the gap apa yang dilakukan oleh Balai KSDA Sumatera Barat. Banyak hal yang tidak bisa kita lakukan, salah satunya adalah merehabilitasi harimau Sumatera. Baik itu dari sisi pendanaan maupun dari sisi keahlian. Untuk merehabilitasi harimau Sumatera itu membutuhkan effort yang kuat, komitmen yang tinggi. Maka kami membutuhkan pihak lain, dalam hal ini Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo yang bisa membantu kami. Kami sangat berterima kasih, kami sangat mendukung, kami berharap kerjasama ke depannya akan lebih baik dan dapat berjalan dengan lancar.
PR-HSD ARSARI has worked with many other like-minded partners in conservation through its 3R program, Rescue, Rehabilitation, and Release, and has so far rehabilitated 12 Sumatran tigers and successfully released 6 back to the wild in close collaboration with Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry, forest rangers, conservation organizations, as well as academics. Like a snowball, the more people holding hands together and joining the cause, the more we can do for the environment. The area is to remain green, untouched by exploitation, and furthermore shall be a safe haven for every species within it, especially endangered Sumatran endemic animals. And among Sumatran endemic animals, Sumatran tigers is in particularly critical situation. Indonesia once had 3 out of 8 tiger subspecies in the world, but 2 of them, the Javanese tiger Panthera tigris sondaica and Balinese tiger Panthera tigris balica, have been extinct, leaving Sumatran tiger Panthera tigris sumatrae the sole surviving endemic tiger subspecies in Indonesia. And even then, their population continues to decline from loss of nature and human conflict among many other factors. Ensuring the sustainability of this important and delicate species is not an easy mission and requires synergy and support from various stakeholders.
Upaya-upaya menyelamatkan
salah satu ciptaan Tuhan yang bernama harimau Sumatera ini agar tidak punah seperti harimau Bali di tahun 40-an dan harimau Jawa tahun 80-an. Walaupun ada tim sekarang yang mencari bukti-bukti kemungkinan masih adanya harimau Jawa, ya, tapi sampai dengan saat ini kita belum menemukannya. Harimau Sumatera ini kemungkinan tinggal mungkin 600 individu, dan selain masalah habitat, mereka terancam oleh adanya jerat.
Actors in tiger conservation efforts has been growing in West Sumatra, from government and non-government institutional and individual contributions from local residents and activists who cares about the balance between humans and nature. We, humanity, has the duty to keep our nature, our earth, our homes sustainable. No matter our backgrounds, there is always something within our own capabilities that we can do to support conservation efforts, both by government and individuals. This is what YAD strives to and will continue to do, to connect and facilitate people to give the best for our nation, including for its bountiful nature.
Saya haturkan kepada seluruh masyarakat Sumatera Barat dan Sumatera dan Indonesia, khususnya kepada para pengusaha, untuk ikut turut berpartisipasi, membantu pemerintah untuk melestarikan satwa liar. Satwa liar adalah ciptaan Tuhan, Tuhan yang Maha Kuasa, dan saya kira sangat-sangat menyedihkan, sangat memalukan kalau kita membiarkan satwa liar kita punah. Ya, Tuhan yang Maha Kuasa bakal sangat sedih kalau itu terjadi, dan itu tugas kita sebagai manusia yang beriman, ya, untuk kita menjaga apa yang diberikan oleh Tuhan kepada kita. Semua satwa liar adalah makhluk yang diciptakan Tuhan yang Maha Kuasa. Itu kewajiban kita semua untuk melestarikan, dan itu yang harapan saya kepada kawan-kawan di seluruh tanah air.
Let us keep our hands joined together in this battle to achieve once again a green home for all of us and nurture a harmony among living beings in this beautiful earth. Salam Lestari. Okay, that's it, and that's all the video. And now this is the most awaiting moment for today. And please let me invite Rahayu Saraswati Djojohadikusumo, or we all know her as Mbak Sarah, to be the moderator of this coming talk show. Mbak Sarah, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, Tito. Well, good afternoon, or perhaps if you are tuning in all the way from the other side of the world, good morning, and perhaps good evening if you are further down the equator. So we are here today for our talk show on the tiger conservation initiatives from Indonesia to the world. As Tito earlier mentioned, I am Rahayu Saraswati, or Sarah, not Saras 008. That's an inside joke for the Indonesians. And I will be your moderator for this afternoon. We have amazing speakers with us today, and I'm sure this will be a fascinating, interesting, educational talk show. We want to make it as relaxed as possible. We're all talking about something that we're very passionate about. And hopefully we will shed some light to this very important issue. and perhaps even set new collaborations between all of us who are attending. And I would like to welcome all 187 participants who are here joining us today, this afternoon, whether you're in Indonesia or elsewhere. We welcome you and thank you so much for expressing interest and of course commitment by being here. We have about more than an hour. We're actually ahead of schedule. Well done to us, yay. That's usually never happens. So this is very good. It's a good start. It means there's more time for us to talk. And I would like to introduce very quickly, one by one, of the speakers that we have here today. And also translator, if I'm going too quickly, please let me know. You know, this is for the sake of those who might be tuning in for, in Indonesia who might need the translation. So please remind me. I get a bit excited when it comes to this issue. So today we have with us three amazing speakers. I think you've already seen some of them earlier, and I'll just read a very short bio. And apologies, sirs, if I'm not going to be reading your whole bio because it's for lack of time, but also just to ensure that we highlight the what is probably important for this issue specifically. And today we have Mr. Wiratno here with us. Mr. Wiratno has a wealth of experience behind him in the field of conservation all over Indonesia, from Manokwari, Papua, where he once served as an instructor at the Forestry Training Center from 1989 to 1990, to Jakarta, where he became the head of Natural Resources Conservation Unit from 1999 to 2000, and to Aceh, where he led as head of Gunung Loser National Park from 2005 to 2007, and to East Nusa Tenggara, where he served as head of KSDAE in 2012 to 2014, and now to his current post as Director General of Conservation of Natural Resources and Ecosystem at the Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry, which he has held since 2017 until today. He has written many publications on conservation practices and management based on his various experiences all over Indonesia. And in 2019, he was involved directly in the release of Sumatran tigers Atan Bintang and Bonita alongside PR-HSD or YAD and its partners. His personal motto is, he has a motto, ladies and gentlemen, work sincerely, stay healthy and hardy. I like that. Hello, Mr. Wiratno. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mbak Saras.
Thank you. And next on our list of speakers, very special person. Here we have Mr. Keshav Varma, who joined the World Bank as Sector Director of East Asia Urban Development and Disaster Management, a position he held until August 2009, where he led the reconstruction and recovery work in Aceh, Sichuan, and Myanmar in response to major natural disasters. He also led World Bank's multi-billion-dollar urban projects in China and cities of East Asia. Mr. Varma is also part of important think tanks in urban policy and is well networked with important universities such as Harvard, MIT, Clemson, Duke, where he teaches urban practice. Based on his track record, entrepreneurship, and passion for balancing the needs of conservation and development, Mr. Varma conceived and mobilized a broad coalition of partners for the Global Tiger Initiative and served as the founding director for Global Tiger Initiative World Bank, which quickly became a special program stimulating a partnership of 13 tiger range countries and international partners on the conservation of wild tigers, and he is now the CEO and Executive Director of the Global Tiger Initiative Council with Mr. Robert Zulik. And welcome, Mr. Varma. It is a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you. And now, last but not least, this person should not be a stranger to you. Mr. Hashim Djojohadikusumo is a prominent Indonesian businessman and philanthropist with deep concerns in social, educational, culture, and environment issues. Through his foundation, Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo, or YAD, Mr. Hashim and his family since 2005 strive to conserve the nation's legacy in culture and environment through education and various social activities. A recipient of the Kalpataru Award in 2014 for his conservation efforts through Tidar Kerinci Agung, the Satya Lancana Wirakarya Award from the Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry in 2017, and the Warrior in Wildlife Conservation Award by the Directorate of Conservation of Natural Resources and Ecosystem in 2019. Mr. Hashim has left notable footprints in wildlife conservation efforts. Those include founding AKPSD ARSARI, which is the Professor Sumitro Djojohadikusumo Conservation Area in West Sumatra since 2008, where PR-HSD ARSARI, which is the Dharmasraya Sumatran Tiger Rehabilitation Center, which was established in 2017, is located, establishing PSO ARSARI, or the Orangutan Sanctuary Center at East Kalimantan in 2019, which focuses in providing a safe haven for aged orangutan, and finally preparing the establishment of a tiger conservation center in Riau since 2020. Welcome, Mr. Hashim. It is a pleasure to have you here with us. And in case those of you who are wondering and have paid attention to my last name, this is not a nepotism concern, but yes, I have had experience in hosting and moderating and presenting talk shows. So it is simply part of my contribution to the efforts of tiger conservation. So welcome, and this is fantastic. As you've seen from the CVs, the biodata of each speaker, I want to give them each a chance to introduce themselves further and perhaps, give a little bit of insight as to what is the main concern, what is your main concern, what is your main drive, why you are doing this in 5 minutes. So each of you, 5 minutes. We want to be able to discuss it further, but Mr. Wiratno, since you're the first on the list and the first on the poster, I'll give you the chance to do so, sir. Please.
Shall I share a presentation? Is it possible?
Yes, sir. It is certainly possible. I'll just ask Tito.
Yes, already open to all panelists.
All right. It's I think it's big enough we can see it, sir, so you can just use those if you'd like.
And you have to unmute, Pak.
Thank you. Sorry. Ya, Mbak Saras, bahasa Indonesia aja ya.
Silakan, Bapak.
Thank
For
you.
those of you who are tuning in English, please click the interpretation button to receive the interpretation in English. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Hashim, Mbak Saras, Mbak Catrini. Saya akan presentasikan strategi perlindungan harimau Sumatera. Kita melindungi 22 juta daratan dan 20 juta perairan, yang di kawasan konservasi ada 5 juta, jadi 27 juta hektar kawasan konservasi protected areas. Di sini wilayah-wilayah Sumatera tadi yang disampaikan, ini Kerinci Seblat, kemudian ada Loser, pusat-pusat harimau, dan di Bukit Barisan Selatan. Ya, kawasan konservasi kita dilindungi oleh 6.747 desa, dikelilingi. Jadi itulah kenapa kita bekerja tadi saya bilang dengan desa-desa dan seterusnya. Mega diversity country, but kita tidak boleh terlena dengan kebanggaan itu karena banyak problem yang kita hadapi. Tapi kita be optimistic. 3 pilar konservasi di Indonesia ada perlindungan, sistem penjaga kehidupan. Ini kawasan konservasi di pegunungan dengan daerah-daerah hilirnya yang luar biasa, dengan sumber air ya untuk perlindungan dan siklus hidrologi penting daerah di bawahnya. Ini sistem penjaga kehidupan sangat nyata. Kita punya program pengawetan keanekaragaman hayati beserta ekosistemnya. Ini yang sangat penting. Kemudian pemanfaatan yang berkelanjutan dan tentu secara lestari sumber daya alam hayati dan ekosistemnya. Ini Enrik Salah mengatakan tanggal 2020 ya, Nature of Nature ya, why we need the wild. Dia bilang diversity is good, the more biodiversity the more benefit. Dia bilang harimau Sumatera ini sebagai top predator merupakan keystone species yang akan menjaga kestabilan ekosistem alami di Sumatera. Ya, kepunahan harimau akan menyebabkan terganggunya stabilitas rantai makanan dan mungkin akan segera menyebabkan ecological catastrophe seperti yang pernah terjadi di Yellowstone ya, karena kepunahan serigala pada 1920-an. Berdasarkan PHVA 2016, populasi 604 individu, status dilindungi oleh IUCN dan CITES Appendix 1. Ya, saya kira ini upaya-upaya yang sangat mulia untuk membantu dimanapun upaya-upaya itu terakhir di Sumatera Barat, sebelumnya di Riau, Pak Haryono, Kepala Balai KSDAE Riau, puluhan kali ya, dalam proses penyelamatan yang sangat fenomenal adalah bonita, ya. Penyelamatan bonita hampir 3 bulan lebih. Ini kantong habitat di Sumatera, dan saya kira ada 23 kantong ya, 22 kantong habitat, dan tentu ini harus kita lihat dari problem-problem yang dihadapi di daerah non kawasan konservasi, juga adanya berbagai macam perubahan land use menjadi kebun dan seterusnya. Ini menjadi tantangan kita bersama. Ya, kalau 60% habitat di luar protected area system, maka kita harus bekerja habis-habisan dengan all stakeholder ya di luar kawasan konservasi. Ada upaya Sumatera White Tiger Survey, ini juga sangat penting. Hampir 712 grade cell, sekitar 12,9 juta hektar peta survei. Para pihak ada terlibat 16 UPT KSDA, 8 dinas provinsi, dinas kehutanan provinsi. Terima kasih, 354 anggota tim, 21 LSM, 13 lembaga donor, dan 2 universitas dan pihak swasta. Tujuan dari Sumatera White Tiger Survey ini updating lokasi hunian harimau Sumatera, kajian kondisi populasi, sebaran satwa mangsa, potensi penyakit, dan keragaman genetik. Problem dengan resolusi konflik ya dengan harimau di Sumatera ini, satu, upaya-upaya sudah dilakukan, ini tentu penting sekali dari segi sains dan melihat perilaku harimau, pemasangan GPS kolar, bonita, atan bintang, cuniang, urante, ini yang juga dipasang. Kemudian pembentukan Satgas untuk penanggulangan konflik sebagai implementasi dari Peraturan Menteri Nomor P48 2008 ini. Satgas dibentuk di Provinsi Aceh, Jambi, Bengkulu, Riau, Lampung, dan di Lampung yang ditetapkan oleh SK Gubernur dengan melibatkan para pihak terkait. Kemudian pembentukan 22 unit tim Wildlife Rescue Unit di 18 UPT beserta sarana pendukungnya. Juga pembentukan Desa Mandiri Konflik, ini juga banyak mitra antara lain BCS, juga mengembangkan konsep desa mandiri konflik satwa liar. Ini menarik. Kemudian pengembangan kandang anti serangan satwa liar dan penyadatawan kepada masyarakat sekitar habitat satwa liar. Ini yang saya sebutkan tadi, desa-desa di sekitar kawasan konservasi, terutama di daerah-daerah yang merupakan habitat harimau Sumatera. Penanganan konflik yang disampaikan tadi, rescue, rehabilitasi, dan rilis, biasanya ini problem dari jerat. Selama 5 tahun terakhir sudah dibersihkan lebih dari 3.000 jerat di seluruh Sumatera, di areal habitat harimau, dan lebih dari 3.000 jerat juga di daerah-daerah non-kawasan hutan, non-kawasan konservasi. Ini jadi problem tentang pentingnya awareness dan dukungan dari seluruh stakeholder, terutama masyarakat di sekitar kawasan hutan, menjadi sangat penting. Ini transmitter yang dipasang GPS di pada saat itu di KSDAE Rio bersama April, kalau nggak salah Pak Aryono ya, dan kita melihat jarak tempuh dari awal pelepas liaran di Semenanjung Kampar sampai 70 kilo lebih selama 5 bulan menuju daerah Taman Nasional Zamrud, ya, Zamrud National Park. Ini juga wilayah Tiger. Jadi menarik, kemungkinan ketemu juga teori-teori baru tentang perilaku after release. Ini pelepas liaran 13 Maret 2021 Cisuro, kemudian Sri Nabila itu 3 November. Jadi betapa senangnya dia lepas kembali ke rumahnya. Ini sesuatu yang luar biasa, dan saya kira mereka yang bekerja untuk wildlife ini mereka yang berhati mulia, saya sebut. Ini harimau Sumatera, Malelang Jaya ini juga ada proses pelepas liaran.
Pak Wiratno,
Yeah.
apologies, sir.
Yes.
I know you have a lot to relay to us, but we are having a talk show and not a webinar, sir. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you. The last one is about Pentahelix collaboration. Terima kasih, Mbak Saras.
You are starting to answer questions that will come later. So you've gone way ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Put a hold first. We want to know.
Ya, thank you. Terima kasih.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally understand. We wanna get those messages across, but put a hold on that. Those will come later on. Fantastic. Okay, I want to give a chance now to Mr. Varma. Mr. Varma, thank you so much for joining us all the way. I know you're very busy and you're actually in the middle of moving around everywhere in India. So, sir, perhaps just a little bit more of an idea of yourself and the global, the initiative and perhaps what you've been doing so far personally and also from your own foundation and movement and organizations. Go ahead.
You want me to tell you also the naughty things I do?
Well, that is completely up to you, Mr. Varma, but do know that there are 200 other people on this forum. I am not responsible for any widespread news going around.
So thank you very much, Sarah. I really appreciate your professionalism.
Thank you, sir.
And the charm with which you do this. I would like to convey my compliments to the Honorable Minister, to my dear friend Pa Wiratno, who I am seeing, and I'm going to tell him to send me his cap also. I needed more than him. Colleague for a long time. To the ARSARI Foundation, let me just 1 second. And its main leadership that foundation is showing. It's extremely important that we are meeting today. it's a crucial time in tiger conservation. We have the Global Tiger Day, and we have to pay our respects to all the frontline staff and the officers who have laid down their lives and they've shown tremendous amount of passion and professionalism in trying to save tigers. But, 3 out of the 13 tiger range countries today, 3 have fallen out. Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, they have gone extinct. And Myanmar is on the verge of extinction. Thailand is doing well, but the numbers they had given in 2008, and also Malaysia, those numbers have gone down. Hashim, sorry, I was just trying to refer to you. My compliments to you, Pa. So, numbers are going down. There is a stability in South Asia with India leading, and there is a good sense of scientific conservation in Russia. Indonesia is doing well. I mean, it is an amazing example of building an alliance, which is in the genes of the Indonesians. I have a director of urban development. I've had the honor of being the president's envoy also for the rehabilitation of Aceh. I worked for over 7 years, also as assistant vice president on the rehabilitation of Aceh. I learned from Aceh, learned from Yogyakarta, learned from various places. Indonesia has been our love. It's a great country, great people, with a lot of love in their heart. So community-based conservation comes naturally to you. And that is extremely important. So when we launched we launched the Global Tiger Initiative, situation was extremely critical as it is today. There was extinction of 2 national parks in India, and tiger numbers had plummeted. There was no unified path forward, and though NGOs were playing an important role, each one of them was doing their own work in territories which they protected with great amount of passion. Illegal trade and traffic, because of this demand was on, lack of capacity and lack of resources. And that was the time when there was also a great amount of lack of leadership and perception about tiger conservation, how important it was, because people have to understand that if you save the tiger, you actually save other animals also. You save the rhino, you save the elephant, and you save the biodiversity of the habitat which Pa spoke about, because that is critical. Tiger actually denotes not only as an apex species, but also denotes pure wilderness. Tigers won't exist where there is no pure wilderness. So that is and it defends that. So when we started the Global Tiger Initiative, the World Bank, actually there was a lot of uproar, because what was the director of urban development doing with tigers? And everybody wants to protect their turf. So our environment department was very upset, and all that kind of stuff started happening. And we were asked the question, what the hell is World Bank doing as far as tiger conservation was concerned? And that was not an easy question, because a lot of people were after us. And when we sat down and did some research, we found out some interesting facts, that tiger conservation areas are also deep pockets of poverty. There are just in India 300 million people who are actually dependent on tiger conservation and on forests. So, most of the cities in India, they are from the national parks, we have 52 national parks in India. There are 300 rivers that go out and feed Delhi and all these cities. So it was easy then to really move that forward. But this multiplicity of approach and lack of a convening organization was important thing. And this is where we came in. And the Global Tiger Initiative was launched in 2008 by the president of the World Bank, Mr. Zelik. The first thing, the first defining principle of this is extremely important, of the Tiger Initiative, the GTI, was to put the Tiger Range countries in the forefront. You know, it wasn't these WWF and WCS writing the agenda for other countries. The countries started stepping forward and doing that. And that is an extremely important part. Some globally very respectable NGOs and everybody started gravitating. And what happened was that a lot of champions emerged. You know, champions that you have in Indonesia, champions in Thailand, champions in Bhutan, champions in Nepal, Putin, and everybody else. So when the Global Tiger Initiative actually was, when this is, I'm taking a little time to explain an interesting situation for you. You know, when Mr. Zelik was going for a G7 meeting to Russia, and he was sitting next to Mr. Putin, and he, during the conversation, he just, when there was a bit of a lull, he told Mr. Putin that, you know, we have launched the Global Tiger Initiative. So the interpreter who was there translated it, thinking that he's talking about tiger economies. And so he translated it that way. But our country director who was sitting there, he said, no, he's not talking about tiger economies. He's talking about actually tigers in the wild. And what Putin did, he said, guys, he told everybody who was sitting there, Prime Minister and President, just wait, I want to talk tigers. And then the summit was planned, where Wiratno, I think, was perhaps also present, if I don't forget, in St. Petersburg, in which 5 prime ministers came together. All the countries were represented by their cabinet ministers. Leonardo DiCaprio and Harrison Ford and Bowden, all the world of Hollywood was present at the highest level. And that was an alliance and a platform which came out with the St. Petersburg Declaration. And that declaration is something which is extremely important. Now, there was actually, yeah, you want to say something?
Apologies, Mr. Varma. I just want to make sure I give each speaker a chance.
Okay, just last, sorry. So finally, this is what has happened. St. Petersburg came out, and today the situation being what it is, you'll probably ask me that question, is where we are going, because now in 2022, Mr. Putin has again announced the summit, and there is a path, there is a journey that has to start towards the summit. I'm trying to convey what also my friend had talked about, and I think there is a need, if you give 2 minutes more, to talk about tiger farms and illegal trade and traffic. I think Pa Wiratno will understand the pernicious impact of tiger farms. And there are thousands of tigers which are commercially exploited, and they are mushrooming in East Asia, these tiger farms. There is a lack of funding in Southeast Asia. Budgets, national budgets are really down. And there is a great need for collaboration between countries, particularly under the leadership of Indonesia, because you guys are really got your act together extremely well. So let me stop here and not say more, and let questions be asked. There's so much to talk about, you know.
So much, and which is why it's so great that we have this time to do so, for sure.
we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Varma. That's it gives us an idea what's going on globally, how it all started and where we're heading. And obviously there's something to look forward to next year.
I would request that that we do dwell upon the issue where we are heading, because in the presence of these champions, it is extremely important.
Yes,
that
sir.
Indonesia's role.
Agreed.
Critical role of Indonesia.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Mr. Varma, for just to get things started again. And I would like to give the platform over to Mr. Hashim. Mr. Varma already started discussing from a global standpoint. Obviously, today we are talking about from Indonesia to the world. So we're meeting him halfway, and Mr. Wiratno also already gave us an idea of what we've been doing so far, how much we've been doing, and later he will also fill in on where we are headed as a country. But I think with the ARSARI Foundation and the efforts we're doing, especially with the rehabilitation center, do explain a little bit more, especially if there are those who have joined today who might not have heard or know much about the efforts that the ARSARI Foundation has been doing. So perhaps you could shed a bit more light on that, Mr. Hashim.
Right. Thank you, Sarah. Pak Wiratno, Mr. Varma. Namaste, sir. Namaste. I must say that India is one of my favorite countries, and I hope to visit you soon. I think this is a great auspicious time, because I remember 2-3 years ago that our mutual friend Jeffrey Reed put us in touch, and we were in contact by email, Mr. Varma, and I wanted to join you and the GTI. And I think what happened was that COVID intervened in the last year and a half. But now we've met again. We are meeting again today, and I want to reiterate, maybe to repeat what I said, that I would like to join the GTI. And I've got 211 witnesses, or 210. So I'm promising to join you, Mr. Varma, and hopefully soon we can join you in the GTI Council and extend this network. I'd like also to wish all my colleagues and friends a happy anniversary, of 4th anniversary of the PR-HSD, our Tiger Conservation Center, our Tiger Rehabilitation Center. I want to also wish Mr. Varma and Pak Wiratno a happy Tiger Day. This is a global Tiger Day, the World Tiger Day, Mr. Varma. So I want to wish you also, Pak Wiratno. Please convey my compliments to Ibu Menteri, Pak Wiratno. I think
I will.
The success that we've seen in the last 4 years has been because of our synergy, our cooperation with the Ministry of Forestry and Environment. And I think we're really cooperating very, very well. In the last few months, we've been supported by the Ministry of Defense, who have lent us helicopters. And I've been told that they will continue, Pak Wiratno, will continue to lend us their helicopters.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Varma, we have a good relationship with the Ministry of Defense, the Indonesian Air Force, who have lent us their heavy lift helicopters, Super Pumas, and they promised. I met the Secretary General of the Ministry of Defense just a few weeks ago, who promised continued support. So, Pak Wiratno, TNI dan Kementerian Pertahanan tetap menjanji akan bantu selanjutnya.
Thank you,
saya kira untuk itu. I think you already heard some of the achievements done by the Ministry of Forestry and also the ARSARI Foundation. In the last 4 years, we've been able to help with 12 tigers. Unfortunately, 3 tigers did not survive. I was told primarily because of pneumonia or respiratory problems, pneumonia. So 3 have died. 9 have survived. 6 have been released into the wild, Mr. Varma, and 3 remain with us as our wards. We are the custodians of these three tigers, two of which are siblings, a male and female tiger. So what I want to talk to you about in the short 5 minutes that Sarah has given us, or given me, is basically what can we do in the future? What can we do in the future? And then what I want to tell the 206 participants who are listening into this is that we've been very, very fortunate that we have been awarded, or let's say, mandated by the Ministry of Forestry, Pak Wiratno and Ibu Menteri, 100,000 hectare area in Riau, which we will maintain and expand and improve, and then of course fund and man as primarily a tiger conservation area. So Mr. Varma, the government has awarded 100,000 hectares in Riau, in the northern part, well, near the east coast of Sumatra. So that is going to be a top priority for us for tiger conservation. We have a third area, but that is primarily in Kalimantan, which of course we all know the tiger is not endemic, and therefore we will not, we do not any of intentions of using our Kalimantan, East Kalimantan area, which is basically for the orangutans, adult orangutans primarily, as well as black bears, and we hope the rhinoceros, Pak Wiratno, in Balikpapan, near Balikpapan, East Kalimantan. Now, what are the areas, what are the problems that we face? Now, we've done until now protection, rehabilitation and recovery, and release. What we want to do in the future is, I think, something that it's basically procreation and breeding. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to add to the stock of tigers in the wild. I think we have two problems here. We don't want to be regarded as a tiger farm, Mr. Varma. You know, this is where I think we like to have your counsel, your advice. How do we do this without being, stamped as a tiger farm? We don't want to do this commercially. We want to do this and to release into the wild. How do we add to the numbers 600 that Pak Wiratno has said? We would like to add to the 600 that we have. We want to prevent extinction, but we want to increase the way that perhaps you have done in India and our friends, the wildlife community in North America, what they've done for the wolf population in Yellowstone and in Canada and so forth. Also, the wolf population in Italy, in Germany, that we've done. How do we do that with the tigers in Indonesia? Now, earlier today, I was in a discussion where one of the participants' discussion mentioned a Dutch study. A study was done in 1939 by the Netherlands Indies government. Indonesia, as you know, Mr. Varma, was ruled by the Dutch until 1945. And in 1939, there was a study made about the state of wildlife in Indonesia, in the East Indies. And at that time, they mentioned the problem of human-tiger conflict. This was in 1939, when the population of the East Indies was around 50 million people. 50 million, I think the number was, 1939 was about 50 million. The population of Indonesia at the time, the East Indies, was 50 million. Now we fast forward 80 years. We fast forward 82 years, and we have the same problem, human conflict, and tiger conflict, with 273 million Indonesians. So same land area, less forest cover, with 273 million Indonesians who are all willing, who all need to survive, who are all trying to make a living, many in the margins. So how do we do that? How do we do that? So perhaps, Mr. Varma, you and your experience in India, because you have the same problem, you have a finite amount of land and your population has increased, I think, 6 times or 5 times in the last 80 years, 4 years. And that, of course, is because of modern medicine and so forth. So cleanliness, sanitation, numbers of people. That's number one. Number two, in the limited time I'd like to discuss is how do we overcome the problem which I've learned about. And I thought about when I became interested in tiger conservation, maybe what we can do is get back, repatriate all those Sumatran tigers in American zoos and European zoos and other zoos around the world. I thought that was a solution. Then I was told that that may be not the right solution, because many of the tigers in European zoos and North American zoos are not purebred tigers anymore. They have been interbred with other species. That's what I was told, Mr. Varma. So I was told I was basically disabused. I said, they said, no, Hashim, you just can't bring 200, 300 tigers around, from North America and Europe. That is not the ideal solution, because these tigers are not purebred anymore. They've been interbred with maybe Bengal tigers and some, perhaps the tigers from other areas, maybe Indian tigers, maybe some from Siberia. So that is something that I think we need to. How do we solve this problem? We have people such as ourselves. We have people like Pa Wiratno. We have people like you, Mr. Varma. We want to increase the population, but how do we do that while preserving the integrity of the species? How do we do that? That's something that I still haven't found. I haven't found the right answer, Mr. Varma. We're getting more areas. Pa Wiratno and the ministry has allotted 100,000 hectares for us to do, and to, of course, to protect, to conserve, recovery, rehabilitation. But how do we do the breeding part? How do we to increase the standing stock of Sumatran tigers to be let out into the wild? I think that's the 2 points I wanted to make for another discussion. I hope I did it in 5 minutes.
No, not really, but that's all right. He's a little bit more difficult for me to put a break on, but I think those are very important questions that hopefully today we'll be able to start the discussion, the dialogue to find the right questions in order for us to find the right answers. Mr. Wiratno, earlier you were starting to answer these questions with a bit more. So before I go to Mr. Varma, who will be able to start answering, I think we already have also questions in the Q&A section and questions from Mr. Hashim, especially as to best practices, right? But we would like to know at least a bit more of what has been done here locally and nationally, and what is continually being done. Mr. Wiratno, I think you would like to, please feel free to continue what you were explaining earlier as to what is going on locally, and especially about what Mr. Varma earlier was saying, that we have that gotong royong spirit. It's a communal sense of helping each other out. So I think you were just starting to touch on that earlier. So please continue, Mr. Wiratno.
Thank you, Mr. Varma, for Asif. I think saving nature, we cannot work alone. That I said that we started from the collective awareness. If we are talking tiger among us, it is common. But if the private sector and on the mining company also help us, it is something. So I believe that we should go change the strategy, not only talking with our team, but also sharing this important, like Mr. Varma said, that saving tiger meaning you save your tropical rainforest and saving on the biodiversity and bioprospecting that is very rich. But the challenge is about there is a very short time preference. If we are talking about 50 years, 100 years, but other people, maybe the businessmen, only talking about maybe 5 years, 10 years. So we have to talk also with the politician. I think we need support. And that is why the principle of sustainable development is not only only we talk about that, but we can realize that we can translate it into the concrete from policy into action. That is a challenge. And Pak Hashim talking about right now we have 250 million people in Indonesia, and in fact, Hashim, we learn from the land use change in Java. Land use change. The lowland tropical forest in Java has gone almost 100 years. Yeah, but we have to. We should not repeat that in Sumatra with the land use change, with the forest cover change, and in fact, in the strategy of establishing gazetting protected areas long ago is on the mountain area, Pak Farma. So we lost the lowland, and the big mammal is living in the lowland area. So that is why. And another thing is that like Bukit 30 before is the concession, Pak Hashim. Bukit 30 now is in 1999, I put it into national park at the time. So from concession into national park. This happened also in the same case with the Waikambas. Before is the concession area. Anyway, now we converted into national park. Also other area. So very interesting that we have to put the same table, the same agenda amongst through the pentaholic approach, government, private sector, community, and even the media. I think itu Mbak Saras, my opinion. It is a challenge for us.
I think you also mentioned something very important, which hasn't been mentioned before, which is, the media. And although Mr. Varma also raised that up with the, attendance of Leonardo DiCaprio and Harrison Ford, these are big media personalities that can help raise awareness on the issue and the efforts that need to be made. And again, there are so many perceptions going around, like Mr. Hashim just, gave the example of, where we think, oh, let's repatriate, but that might not necessarily be the right answer. And that we can only find the right answer when we do ask those questions. And so, Mr. Varma, with what Mr. Wiratno has already mentioned, how we have that pentahelix approach. We do need more, into action, right? Theories and thoughts and initiatives going into action. I think there's a very interesting question in the question and answer section, by Mr. Ikhwan, and perhaps this can go along with what Mr. Hashim was also asking, in terms of, in terms of best practice. So 2 questions. First is, in terms of best practice, what has been done in other areas that perhaps we need to start really to pay attention to as a country and as a region? Because you mentioned Malaysia, you mentioned Myanmar, and how South Asia, I mean, again, you said we've lost 3 countries in the range countries. So what else, aside from what Mr. Wiratno has already mentioned, in order for us to stay on top, let's say, right? For us to keep going in the right trajectory. The second question, sir, would be, Mr. Ikhwan was asking, we all agree, that he basically mentioned, having a predator is an important indicator of a healthy ecosystem. And Mr. Wiratno also confirmed that. And the question, however, is, even though we've signed the declaration, right, of the tiger conservation at St. Petersburg in 2010, and et cetera, and maybe other countries have signed it as well. Again, with the 3 other countries falling out, it's not, when you've signed it, it's not necessarily a guarantee that the conservation effort is actually going well. Now, his question was, now who needs to take the initiative, to take command, to basically be in charge of, or to lead the efforts? Is it the UN, or should it be each country being in charge of its own efforts? So it's kind of like a two-layer question, but go ahead, Mr. Varma.
Thank you very much. And Pa Hashim, you are very welcome to the GTI Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you as a member.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to make one intervention for Pa Wiratno. It is extremely important that Indonesia plays an important role in the Southeast Asia recovery and rehabilitation strategy, which is being developed. There is a ministerial conference coming up in Kuala Lumpur, and this strategy has to be presented at the summit. So may I request that please step forward and start collaborating. And Rajesh Gopal would have said the same thing. I'm missing him. He is one of those gurus in tiger conservation, but he couldn't come. But this is extremely important. Now, coming back to best practice. In terms of biodiversity and habitat, one of the best practices is Bhutan, where they have tiger conservation landscapes, and then those landscapes are well connected through corridors. So they are very good examples of that. But clearly the best practice in tiger conservation is India. There is no question about it. Not because I'm an Indian, I've been all over. But you know, from 2008 to today, India is among the only country which has actually doubled its tigers from 1,411 to 2,967.
Oh.
And this is important, Pa Hashim, for you also, in terms of best practice. With your name and the respect you have, I would really request you to really look at the science. If you protect the tigers in their habitats, they will procreate. They are cats. They do it naturally, and the numbers would go up. You don't need to bring, like China and other things, and open up procreation centers and other things. You just need to protect and provide the prey base. And this is going to happen. It has happened in India, and it has happened in an extremely significant manner in some of the tiger parks where this is happening. Also, India is doing a lot of work on management practices in creating a uniform standard management practice, but Rajesh Gopal is leading it, in that all tigers must have at least minimum standards of management. So that is an important issue. The other question that you are talking about, one of the questions is, who will take the initiative? Only, you know, all these three countries, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, have decided to completely depend upon international aid and not give national budgets and not have boots on the ground. And finally, they were wiped out because of the demand, and now there is no tigers. So each country, through the National Tiger Recovery Program, has to play a strong role, and these international financial institutions and others can come forward and help. That is what you're doing in Indonesia. This is a local, one of the big business magnates is collaborating and creating this partnership. We are frankly struggling with this partnership. We would also like Pa Hashim to come and talk to our Reliance and Tatas and Birlas and others here in India to create the incentive for them to really have those kind of partnerships. It's extremely important that is happening there. So, Pa Hashim, your other thing is about the repatriation of Sumatran tigers from zoos. In terms of genetic purity, those tigers are not pure, and this has been tried by China. They tried to bring their South China tiger through all kind of tricks and trade, but didn't work out, frankly, and they have those silent forests. But you got to focus also on the prey base. Because if you don't focus on the prey base, you will create more human-tiger conflict. That is what, in India, 30% of the tigers live outside protected areas. And that is what is creating, I mean, Rajesh is doing a terrific job in trying to contain it. But, you know, if there is no prey, and if the prey is only focused in the core areas, and in these peripheral areas, there is a scant prey base, then these tigers tend to go and kill cattle, and then they are poisoned and those kind of things. So my really request you, Hashim, don't go into procreation because it has a very bad name all over the world, and even the US is getting the flack for that. And let us believe in wild tiger conservation on that. So, but coming again, reminding Wiratno that please step forward on the Southeast Asia recovery and rehabilitation, because right in the neighborhood, you are doing a good job and you are emerging as a model, which Malaysia and Thailand, which are losing tigers. I mean, Malaysia said they had 500 tigers, they have less than 200. Thailand has less than 150 tigers left. Myanmar was the Hukong Valley has probably a dozen tigers, but we can't track them. And 3 countries have gone extinct. There is imminent, you know, the path is leading towards another extinction of Myanmar. And these tiger farms are proliferating. Wherever there are tiger farms, tigers have gone extinct. So they are in Myanmar, they've gone in Laos, they've got in Cambodia, they have in Thailand also, and in this place, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, they have tiger farms. And this trend, there are over 9,000 tigers in tiger farms. They are being converted into tiger wine and all that, and other tiger derivatives and other parts. So I would really, very strongly, out of experience, convey this fact. So I think I've answered the question of best practice.
Yes,
you're very welcome to come to India as soon as this COVID. Hashim, do something about COVID, because we have not thought about the zoonotic. No, we haven't thought about the zoonotic connection. We haven't talked about it. It's really becoming very relevant.
Yes.
That people do not go and spread the same. There were 12, there were 6 lions who were found with COVID in India. So we have to be very careful, human tiger coming together and passing on that. This is a new thing. We haven't really discussed it, so I don't think this is the right place to do it. But thank you very much. You have another 100,000 hectares, and I'm looking forward. Come to India, then after Malaysia, let us have a small, a significant get together in Sumatra.
So, Mr. Varma, you already went into 2 different things that I would love for us to discuss further. But one of the things that you mentioned actually started answering another question that came up from the audience from Larasati Dina, which is about the prey, right? Basically, her question is, does the decreased number of Sumatran tiger population caused also by other extinction of endemic species that in its natural habitat? So does the conservation effort to rescue tiger, should it also be focused in other species? And you were mentioning about providing them with protection and prey, right? And it's so interesting. You also mentioned, you know, by the actually having tiger farms leads to the opposite of what it's supposed to do. So that's also very interesting. And so Ms. Dina, hopefully Mr. Varma has already answered your question. And I think we all got the message that yes, we do need to protect not just the tigers, we do need to protect other species in the ecosystem. Is that correct, Mr. Varma?
One second. In case you are really keen on doing this procreation and these breeding under proper scientific supervision, it would be good to do it for prey. That is critical. Do it for the prey. Increase the prey. Make sure that they are free of diseases and release them. And that is going to make the difference. Your tiger numbers would shoot up.
Yes.
I have a question to Mr. Varma. One of our friends in the UK the Aspinall Foundation, Damien, you may know him. He has volunteered to repatriate tigers, his tigers. He's volunteered, actually, Pak Wiratno, he's volunteered to bring all the Indonesian endemic animals back to Indonesia, including the tapir. When I was there in Howlett's, I think, is it Howlett's or one of his parks, he showed me some of his tapirs in English, I think. Tapir, bahasa Indonesia, ya, Pak Wiratno. And these were very big, chubby, well-fed tapirs. He wanted to send back to Indonesia. Now, I know, wasn't at one time, Mr. Varma, the tapirs were the prey? Weren't they the prey for the tigers in the jungle? And would us receiving back tapirs from the UK and breeding tapirs to provide the prey for the tigers, is that one solution, you think?
No, it is not. You will create an indigestion for the tigers by bringing these exotic tapirs into Indonesia. I would really not recommend that. And more seriously speaking, they've got to come. They've got to all be kept inside these safari parks or something. We cannot at all intermix this kind of animals with, Hashim, we are committed to tigers in the wild completely, 100%. That is one of the GTI principles. Tigers in the wild, countries leading the agenda and building their own capacity, and all forest department and others actually coming forward with all their passion and professionalism. These are the three things we are committed about. And to collaboration with industry. We are launching the India Wildlife Business Council. You are already doing it. We have to come and learn from you. You have to seriously come here and give few lectures.
Thank you.
In India, to the industry, to FICCI and to these characters, SHM and FICCI and CII. Talk to them. Actually, we are going to bring you as the main speaker in our first meeting.
This is great.
At your convenience. At your convenience. I'll come at your convenience.
It is a perfect example of collaboration, bilaterals and multilaterals and public-private and all of that. So this is a perfect example for that. So again, I think further study needs to be done. Obviously, the experts know exactly what kind of prey we need to breed. We need to increase the numbers of, ensuring that their areas in the wild are protected. And we do need to learn from the best practices there are in the world, whether it's India or it's Bhutan. The next question actually is to do with what Mr. Hashim, I think, also mentioned earlier, and Mr. Varma also mentioned, COVID. It's affects the pandemic and with what's going on. Mr. Varma, you were mentioning it, so I said, you're basically going ahead of the game. You're going straight to the question, the next question I want to ask. With everything that's going on with the pandemic, you had concerns, sir, Mr. Varma, with COVID, and how has it affected? I think a lot of people still, are still in their own bubbles when it comes to the pandemic as to what's going on locally, right? But what has its effect been on tiger conservation? And why did you mention it earlier? Why do you think that needs to be brought into the conversation, aside from funding? I think most people would think that, number one problem that comes from the pandemic is funding for these conservation efforts. But are there other layers that we need to pay attention to, Mr. Varma?
I am an Indian civil servant, so we have the freedom to answer technically difficult and professional questions also.
Spoken like a true
You know.
politician, aka
even if we
bureaucrat.
don't
Mr.
know
Wiratno is
a
here with
subject
you. You're
very
not the only
well,
one.
yeah, even then. So let me answer two things which I'm seeing. You know, this COVID is killing ecotourism.
Yes.
It is completely destroying the economy of parks because people coming in these vehicles and kind of mounting 6 people, 7 people coming on a vehicle, coming inside, and then kind of chasing tigers like in Corbett National Park or Kanha and all. It's a horrible thing to see in any case. But with the pandemic, this is really, and it gives them an opportunity to get out of their congested areas. And they kind of just freak out when they come here. They don't wear masks. They are all in a particular state of mind, and they may be carriers. So that is one. Second is, I don't think our parks have the infrastructure, health infrastructure. If something happens to someone inside the depth of a park, there is nothing. And suppose somebody gets a heart attack. Just, I mean, nothing to do with pandemic. He gets a heart attack, say 3 hours inside a core area. So there is nobody who can take care of that person. He can't get out. I mean, it's all over. And third thing is that there is some reports, scientific reports that are coming, that there is transfer of virus from humans or from humans to animals. And if that is going to happen, the fate of these national parks would be completely over. I mean, these national parks are engines of economic growth, you know. If they cease to be engines of economic growth, these national parks would lose value. They lose value, people can't go there, they can't appreciate it and all that. Like in US, when we go, my daughter and all of us, we are spending most of our time in national parks. But when we come to Asia, we spend our weekend sitting, having a beer and going to sleep in the afternoon. Like we don't want to spend it inside a national park. So in any case, people are not drawn to national parks easily. So beer or red wine, whatever. But the question is, I think we'll have to really look at the health aspect of tourism and ecotourism and the quality of these hotels and the infrastructure which is out there. We haven't really thought about it.
That is a very good point, Mr. Varma. And again, it's showing us how intersectional any industry and any issue, social issues, they're all intersectional, whether it's animals, humans, and now we're talking about conservation. It cannot be without conservation of other species, and it cannot be without thinking about the ecotourism as a whole. Yes, Mr. Varma.
It only proved how a civil servant can answer a technical question you think is a good point.
Mr. Varma, we all can learn from you. And since, you know, again, this is all so fascinating and educational. Unfortunately, we only have about 5 to 10 minutes left. But I want us to start, going into, actually somebody post the question in the question answer section for me, which is to do with how, if we're starting talking about the prey, we're talking about the cycle, right? We're talking about the tiger's needs, human needs, and then now we're talking about human and tiger conflict, or conservation and human conflict. And I think that's one thing that you wanted to bring up, Mr. Varma, about the poaching and the illegal trade, etc., which is part of the problem. Now, before Mr. Varma, we go to you, I want to go to Mr. Wiratno. In terms of the efforts being done here in Indonesia to suppress the human and tiger conflict, and how what the efforts are, that are being done in terms of the poaching. And you mentioned, the traps being laid still for these Sumatran tigers by the people. Like, what are the challenges? And again, apologies, but short, but perhaps a very diplomatic answer, but hopefully the truth. How are we doing in dealing with these issues?
Yeah, and the technical matter and the planning stage, I think it's better we overlay the existing habitat and potential habitat of tiger to the public, to the partner, yeah. And then based on the finding of the human wildlife conflict, tiger conflict, my staff also put all the coordinate and put on the map, yeah, and then we can see the trend. Based on my experience back to 2005, 2007, and closer, yeah, tiger will not bite human until the human or community battle their family. Yeah, if we never battle the family, or would put the poison, saying like this, to the prey, and then their kid die because that they are very angry. So harimau dan wildlife ini sebetulnya tidak mau makan manusia, tapi karena manusia mengganggu mereka, menembak anaknya dan seterusnya, itu menjadi awal dari konflik. So who start the conflict? The community and the human being start the conflict with the tiger. So start from the how can we overlay, and right now how to mitigate the situation when there is a Sumatran tiger in the plantation, for instance. So that is why we rescued them. What happened with the help from the Yayasan ARSARI, Pak Hashim, yeah. You help us, and but very important to have a collective awareness to the concession holder where there is a tiger present there. They have to report directly to us. That's why we put a call center. Yeah, that is, and in the future, I think it's important to leave part of the concession back to being the habitat of the tiger. That is also the mitigation effort. Near the Bukit 30, PT LAJ also leave part of their concession because there is a tiger and there is elephant roaming there. So this is the situation that we have to do, and we need a big movement, Pak Asmi. Thank you very much for your support. And I think there has to be awareness for all the player in Sumatra to work together with us, the local player, the pollutant make pay principle, or the change of land use pay principle. You change the tropical rainforest, you pay for that, because there is a tiger conflict finally, that we can bisa menghindari sebetulnya. We can avoid that. Tapi faktanya kan tidak. Saya kira itu yang bisa kita lakukan.
Can I just say something?
Yes, Mr. Hashim.
There's a Miss Monique Cunningham has put in a very interesting remark. I'll read it out to you. Sumatran tigers need privacy to breed. And if their rehabilitation housing is suitable, you could introduce unrelated animals and then release pregnant females. I think this would help with the perception of tiger farming. Mr. Varma, any response to that?
Hashim, there is work going on also in our Kanha National Park, where there is rewilding has been attempted, as well as in Panna, where this has been done. I don't want to respond in a very in this kind of a casual manner to such an important issue. You know, it is. I do not think that tigers need any kind of artificial environment to breed. Once they are protected, they have the prey base, they will procreate and they'll double their numbers in no time. It's really happening in India. It's really, you can see that happening in India. The tiger numbers are booming, and we are having a problem because we have habitats which are not very large. And in that, for instance, Corbett is about 2,000 square kilometers, has 20 to 22 tigers per 100 square kilometers, the highest density in the world. This is what is happening. So there is conflict. The dominant male fight, they chase each other out. So that is something. But coming to one thing which was talked about, you talked, Sarah, about traps and snares.
Yes, please do.
I would like to convey from my experience of extinction and other things of snow leopards and tigers and all, if we can for the next 6 months really focus on removing snares and traps, we'll be able to save a lot of tigers from these poachers. That is a simple thing that people walk and find out. And last thing before I got to leave now, I'd like to say there appears to be a lot of similarity between Indonesia and India in terms of challenges, in terms of your approaches, in terms of your collaborations, in terms of success that you've had in. So it would be it is crucial that Indonesia and India comes together. Really, we have a very strong collaboration with the Global Tiger Forum, which is the implementing arm of the Global Tiger Initiative Council. So I will request Rajesh Gopal to write to you, Pa.
Thank you.
About this, and you can take it up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Varma. And I know you have to go, and we're actually ending because the time is up, unfortunately. But before we close this, I would like to give the chance to Mr. Hashim to perhaps give a closing statement. And I think this discussion, hopefully it's given us an idea that there's still so much we need to discuss. And hopefully as a road towards the next summit or the next meet, we can do another discussion specifically on specific issues, such as, the illegal trade, or perhaps the poaching and the human tiger conflict, and just specific issues that we can then explore further. But for this time, I really thank you all for attending. But Mr. Hashim, a short closing statement before, please don't go yet. We'll take a quick picture together. Mr. Hashim.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Varma, Pa Wiratno. I just want to thank all of you, both of you, and also all the stakeholders, the 210 who attended. Frankly, the ARSARI Foundation wouldn't, our rehabilitation center would not have been a success without your support, Pa Wiratno. Mr. Varma, Pa Wiratno, I have learned so much. I personally have learned so much today. Okay, some things that I should not be doing, maybe some things I should be doing. I've learned a lot. So I think it's been very beneficial for me. And a lot of the people have been asking questions. And so what I want to do, and I want to commit to being part of the GTI, Mr. Varma. Thank you for inviting me again, the second time. And Ibu Ari, if you can make sure that I fill out all the forms, all the application forms. And I hope to visit you in India.
Yes.
And to learn so much about you, and to visit Corbett's and all these other places, these amazing places.
Please do.
And Pa Wiratno, there's a lot of things we have to do, I think, together here in Indonesia, and then with Mr. Varma at the GTI. I don't know whether I can persuade your, the fellow businessmen in India, the Ambanis or the Birlas or the Tatas. I don't know what I can do, but I'll try. I will try. I think I have access to some of them. But I think we should collaborate. And so thank you very much, Mr. Varma, for your
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mbak Sarah.
So much. Yes, Mr. Wiratno.
I give special for the Tiger Day for the Yayasan ARSARI. This is my painting.
Oh,
wow.
Slightly to the center.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is
Wow.
Inung
That is
Rio.
you actually painted that, sir.
Yeah. I painting. I'm artist actually.
Oh.
Wow. Great.
I focus on the wildlife, Pak Sharma. Someday I
you're
will
actually an
make
artist.
a painting for you, Pak Farma.
Your job
I
at the
really
ministry is
appreciate
a
that,
side
Pak.
job.
Yeah, this is for Yayasan Arsari, Pak Hashim. This is
Thank
for
you,
you.
Pak. Terima kasih
Thank
banyak.
Thank you
family.
so
Thank
much.
you.
I think we need to do an auction day in the future.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Fantastic. Well,
Thank you very much.
let us take a quick picture together.
Yeah.
On for this talk show. So really quickly, for the speakers first, and then after that, I will invite all the other panelists to also open up their videos. So for now, Mr. Hashim, Mr. Varma, Mr. Wiratno, ensure you look at the video. And Tito, are you ready?
Yes, already.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. I would also like to extend thank you very much, Pak Ardi, for also being here with us, and Mr. Kapoor, who is representing Mr. Rajesh. Thank you so much for being here with us as well. And I'm sure we have a lot to discuss in the future. Now we'll take another picture along with other representatives. And I think there was also Mr. Jeffrey, who was attending as well, all the way on the other side of the world. Mr.
Ariono ada juga, Riau, Pak Ariono, Pak ya, Sumatera Selatan ada juga. Kepala balai. Terima kasih.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, we'll take a really quick picture with the other panelists as well.
Ibu Indra.
Ibu Indra mungkin bisa menyalakan videonya, Ibu Indra.
Thank you, Katrina. Also, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the great job you did.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Varma. Apologies if there are any mistakes, everyone.
Perfect. It went perfectly well done.
All right, we'll take a quick picture now in 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Great. Mr.
Right.
Varma, if you and Mr. Wiratno, if you need any moderators for any events.
Must be expensive for the moderation. Nggak salah.
It depends on what it's
Thank
for,
you.
Mr. Wiratno.
She's free, gratis,
Well
Pak.
noted.
I need, come on. Some of us still need to work, you know.
Jatrini, thank you.
Thank you
Congratulations.
very much,
Basara.
everyone. And really quickly, we want to thank every single person who has been supporting our efforts, who might be attending, or if you're not attending. We also have someone who is also supporting YAD all the way from New York, America, who will be helping us through her jewelry line. Her name is Ariana Mbirikos, and we have a video coming up. But before the video, really quickly, on this World Tiger Day, I just heard news that, as Mr. Ardi actually, I think, also relayed, Ibu Ari, is it today? Was the release today from West? Yes, today we just released another tiger into the wild by the West Sumatra BKSDAE. So congratulations to us, all of us, another one released into the wild. And now for your viewing pleasure, the video to show Ariana's support for all of us. And Mr. Varma, Mr. Wiratno, Mr. Hashim, it is an absolute pleasure to have you all with us, and an honor. And we hope to see you all soon, physically. Thank you very much. And I think that sums up the event of the day. Tito, as the MC, I give the mic back to you.
Thank you, Mbak Sarah. And finally, it's the end of this Tiger International Talk Show that initiated by Yayasan ARSARI Djojohadikusumo and PR-HSD ARSARI. Thank you for all speakers and our lovely host, Mbak Sarah. We would like also to say thank you to the Director of Conservation and Biodiversity, Indonesian Minister of Environment and Forestry, Ibu Indra Exploitasia, kemudian Bapak Azwan Sutondo from PT Tidar Kerinci Agung, and also thank you for Global Tiger Forum, Dr. Rajesh Gopal, which is represented today by Mohnish Kapoor, and also thank you so much for Indonesian Minister of Environment and Forestry. Never-ending gratitude to Bapak Ardi Andono and West Sumatra BKSDA, also Bapak Haryono and Riau BKSDA, and last but not least to all of you that always support the Conservation Act to keep our nature and every living being in it stay, exist, and live side by side. And thank you for joining us once again. And you can watch or rewatch this talk show on our YouTube channel. And happy World Tiger Day 2021 and happy 4th anniversary of PR-HSD ARSARI. May the good health be with you all, Tiger warriors all over the world. Roar, saram lestari.
Oh, Lestari, terima kasih.
Untuk Mbak Sarah aja ini Pak Hashim, untuk Mbak Sarah.
Silakan Pak.
Silakan Pak. Oh you Mbak.
Diterima.
Terima kasih Pak Wiratno, kawan-kawan Pak.
Terima kasih Pak, luar biasa.
Terima kasih.
Oke Pak Hashim, mohon maaf Pak Hashim, kalau boleh ini teman-teman di Sumatera Barat sedang bersiap-siap untuk tumpengan Pak.
Tito.
Ya.
Tumpengan.
Oh ya, untuk para peserta boleh meninggalkan ruangan terlebih dulu, mohon maaf karena terbawa euforia ulang tahun.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih.
Jaga kesehatan.
Pak Wiratno.
Ya, terima kasih. Ini Pak Hashim.
Ya.
Sementara ada teman-teman Pak di Sumatera Barat.
Baik.
Ada Dokter Tika dan ada Pak Azwan juga itu Pak.
Selamat malam Pak.
Selamat malam Pak GM, Pak Azwan.
Pak GM.
Di sini sudah malam ya? Sudah ya?
Nah, itu Pak GM-nya tuh.
Pak Azwan, selamat sore.
Selamat sore Pak Sim.
Terima kasih
undangannya Pak.
Terima kasih Bapak bisa Bapak berkenan ikut acara kita ini. Terima kasih. Di sana masih terang Pak ya?
Masih Pak, masih terang Pak. Ya.
Di sini sudah mulai gelap ya.
Pak Aswan, terima kasih atas perbaikan jalan untuk PR-HSD.
Sama-sama Bu, ya Bu. Ya.
Nah itu tumpengnya Pak.
Berarti Pak Hashim akan tumpeng secara virtual.
Keruk tumpeng virtual Pak.
Baik, gimana ya caranya? Boleh saya pinjam tangan seseorang di sana?
Tika mungkin, silakan Tika. Jadi
Tika wakili tangannya Tika.
Sebagaimana filosofi yang betul katanya bukan potong tumpeng ya, karena ujung tumpeng itu menghubungkan kita dengan Sang Pencipta. Jadi doa-doa kita tidak boleh dipotong. Jadi yang betul adalah mengeruk ya. Silakan Tika mewakili tangan Pak Hashim. Itu Pak Husri Yedi ya, Pak Eri. Silakan Tito, mungkin sambil didoakan.
Ya, saya sambil memindahkan teman-teman yang di atendis ke panelis. Baik, Mudah-mudahan di kesempatan kali ini dengan bertambahnya usia PR-HSD ARSARI 4 tahun sudah berjuang kemudian berkontribusi di dunia pelestarian satwa khususnya harimau Sumatera bisa semakin tetap konsisten. Kemudian kita juga doakan supaya semakin tetap dilancarkan semua yang perlu dilancarkannya, karena memang upaya konservasi sebagaimana disampaikan oleh seluruh speakers tadi bahwa konservasi bukanlah hal yang bisa kita lakukan sendiri, tapi harus dilakukan bersama-sama. Untuk itu kita bersama-sama untuk melaksanakan tugas mulia ini, tentunya kapal yang dinahkodai oleh Bapak Hashim yang sudah memberikan contoh baik untuk kita semua, bisa kita tiru semuanya, semangatnya, kemudian juga kebaikan-kebaikannya bisa kita tiru dan kita tularkan juga. Jadi bukan hanya COVID yang menular, tapi hal baik juga harus kita tularkan melalui, ya salah satunya ini, dengan adanya PR-HSD ARSARI. Dan sekali lagi terima kasih atas gagasan awal saat PR-HSD terbentuk oleh Bapak Hashim, kemudian juga jeripayah Ibu Ari sebagai Direktur Eksekutif YAD, lalu kemudian rekan-rekan di PT TKA yang sudah mendukung sebegitu besarnya terhadap seluruh upaya yang kita lakukan di PR-HSD ARSARI, dan tentunya tidak kalah penting teman-teman semua yang berada di PR-HSD, baik itu dari dokter hewan, kemudian tenaga medis, sampai dengan Wanadiaksa yang menjaga kawasan AKPSD bisa diberikan selalu dengan kebaikan. Dan untuk itu mungkin tanpa berlama-lama lagi, mungkin kita secara simbolis kita bisa keruk tumpeng. Bapak Hashim diwakili oleh Dr. Hewan Kartika Amarilis. Keruk tumpeng, bukan dipotong. Gak apa-apa. Grogi mungkin Tika, Pak. Ya, mungkin ada yang mau disampaikan terlebih dahulu oleh Bapak Hashim, Pak, di usia PR-HSD keempat, silakan Pak.
Baik, Bapak-bapak, Ibu-ibu yang saya hormati, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita. Bahwa sudah kita bisa melalui 4 tahun ya penuh tantangan, penuh perjuangan, banyak halangan dan sebagainya, namun bisa cukup sukses ya. Kita sudah berkontribusi 12 harimau yang kita sudah tampung. Sayangnya 3 tidak bisa bertahan, tapi ada 9 yang bertahan, 6 sudah dilepas liarkan ke alam semesta, 3 masih sama kita. Saya mengucapkan terima kasih juga kepada seluruh jajaran TKA, ya Pak Azwan dan kawan-kawan semuanya. Terima kasih Pak yang banyak bantu kita. Terakhir membantu perbaikan jalan, ya kami tadi dapat laporan. Itu luar biasa. Terima kasih atas kontribusi bapak-bapak dan ibu-ibu dari TKA. Dan khusus kepada Dr. Hewan Tika dan kawan-kawannya di sana, ya. Saya mengaturkan banyak terima kasih ya. Kalian adalah pendekar, ya. Kalian adalah pejuang lestari, ya. Luar biasa, ya. Luar biasa perjuangan dan kontribusi ya kalian semuanya. Ya ini saya terharu dengan kontribusi kalian. Tidak gampang ya, tinggal jauh-jauh dari kota, dari keluarga, ya. Di alam terbuka ya, tapi saya kira itu menunjukkan kecintaan saudara-saudara kalian semua ya. Dan kalian sudah dengar dari Pak Wiratno, dengar dari Mr. Varma, sebetulnya kehadiran dari harimau di dalam alam semesta, di alam terbuka di Indonesia sangat penting untuk menjaga yang lain-lainnya ya. Ini kalau harimau punah juga nanti tidak lama lagi yang lain-lain juga bakal punah. So saya kira ini yang kita sudah dengar hari ini, pentingnya kehadiran harimau di dalam ekosistem Indonesia. Saya kira begitu. Selamat ulang tahun ya keempat, dan saya menunggu ya kelima, keenam dan ketujuh dan lain-lain ke ya masa depan. So saya kira itu saya mau sampaikan. Terima kasih kepada kalian semua.
Amin.
Terima kasih Pak Hashim. Bu Ari mungkin ada mau tambahkan sebelum kita makan tumpengnya, Bu? Mereka makan tumpeng, kita makan biskuit mungkin, Bu.
Saya cukup mungkin ya sama dengan Pak Hashim ya, mengucapkan terima kasih untuk semua kerja keras dan gotong royongnya. Tidak hanya untuk saat ini, tapi perjalanan masih panjang dan masih banyak sekali orang-orang yang perlu kita sentuh dan kita ajak untuk bersama-sama sehingga semakin bergulir. Mungkin itu saja. Terima kasih. Selamat sekali lagi untuk ulang tahun PR-HSD dan juga Global Tiger Day.
Baik, terima kasih Bu Ari dan Pak Hashim, juga teman-teman di PR-HSD. Mungkin demikian kita tuntaskan segera karena mereka harus segera makan-makan. Kalau enggak nanti itu nasinya keburu basi nanti Pak ya.
Baik.
Terima kasih semuanya. Sekali lagi sukses untuk kita semua. Kalau gitu terima kasih juga Pak Hashim. Ibu Ari udah hadir di kesempatan kali ini, juga teman-teman yang sudah membantu pelaksanaan Tiger International Talkshow di kesempatan hari ini dalam rangka 4 tahun PR-HSD dan juga Global Tiger Day. Mudah-mudahan kita masih bisa melaksanakan yang lebih hebat dan meriah lagi untuk tahun depan. Baik. Saya pamit dulu, terima kasih untuk semuanya.